Welcome back, guys. Episode 3. Today we will be talking about how most people stay average and how to escape it. As you remember, our first episode was about the introduction to the podcast. The second topic was about our gym and what we do in terms of our routine. And today we'll be talking about average mindset and how to get out of it. Can we define, first of all, what average means for us in general?
Average for me, living a well-paid job. Well, you can't really call it well-paid because when I'm thinking of average, I think a 9 to 5 in Polish circumstances. If you calculate it in dollars, it would be maybe $1,500, $2,000. Average is, for example, going on vacation when your boss lets you go on vacation, and non-average would be when you can decide when you want to be and when you want to work from where. The opposite of average would be having the financial and freedom with your time to decide what you want to do, where you want to go, and how you want to live your life.
In general, you are not born into it. You need to work to achieve it. In most of the cases, for people, it's normal to start with a job, right? But to then do the work, stay disciplined and consistent to get out of it and to achieve that financial freedom. So we are not saying that everyone, whoever is starting the 9 to 5, is actually the average mindset. What we are saying is to stay in that comfort zone of the daily routine where you are not pushing yourself to get out of that comfort zone. You don't have any ambitions to make your life even better and to achieve that financial and location and time freedom that my brother is speaking about. So we just want to make it clear that it's okay to start there, but you need to have the willing and you need to have the motivation to take you out of that and to become free.
Well, the dangerous thing, I would say, still with starting with a 9 to 5, even though you just have to start with a 9 to 5, you can't do it another way. You can't just start a business and start earning money from the first day on. So you gotta start somewhere. There I agree with you. But what I have to add is that it gets harder and harder stepping out of that 9 to 5 and getting into the business world. I think the best time to start is either in high school years or at least start at your university time. You should try not to even step into the career world if it's possible, because when you get into it, it gets harder to get out of it. You get in it, you start earning money, maybe you get your first raise, then you get your family, then you get a kid, and then you have some responsibilities just piling up where it just makes it impossible almost to throw that away and say, I'm gonna start from zero, I'm gonna start from scratch, because you already have a big load on your shoulders to carry. Try starting as soon as possible, then you will not have that problem, or you can minimize the risk of having that problem.
I absolutely agree with starting as early as possible. The only thing is it depends on what you are starting. If you are starting something that is related to the internet, that is related to social media, etc., where the costs are low of a cost of entry, right? Because you don't need any capital to enter there. During the university years or high school years, you definitely can allow yourself to do that. And when it comes to starting something which requires capital, and if you are not coming from a rich family where your grandparents left you millions, then it's definitely difficult to kick off. If you are in the software world where you are programming, you're building something, some application, some website, etc., definitely, that's something you can do. Dropshipping, social media marketing, right? Agencies, or even sales. I assume sales as well. That can be considered not 9 to 5 because you are dependent on how well you are selling actually. So those things where you don't need the capital, definitely that's amazing to start as early as possible.
But it's also important to understand that you don't need to study in these branches. You can, even if you say IT doesn't interest me, that was actually my case. Yeah. I didn't like studying IT. I also understand that you need some knowledge to get started with an online business, whatever it is. But I don't want to study IT. So I chose my studies in direction of economics, but still now as a side hustle, I'm starting to learn video editing, making websites, making shorts for Instagram or generally social media. The time ongoing, you just start to learn new things on your own. You don't really need a professor explaining that to you, You can just concentrate on your niche and start learning in that direction.
Exactly, and that's the mindset, right? You shouldn't be focused on one thing and then you learn that one thing, you are doing it well, and then you forget about that you need to expand your knowledge, you do need to expand your fields to be able to do as much as possible, try as different things as possible, and to understand what is exactly that you love doing, and then go 100% into that and scale it so that you can achieve that freedom. So that's what we are trying to cover here. It's about mindset, it's about not staying in the comfort zone, it's about pushing your limits, learning new things, trying differently, failing, trying something else, and then realizing what is it for you that you can hold on and you can achieve that freedom that you want. And let's discuss why most people actually stay there, why it is so comfortable to stay in that area where you know everything. You start getting into the routine of that 9 to 5 of the family and hustle, and then you don't want to go out of it. Why is that?
Well, I think the most important point is the responsibility coming with it, right? If you have some responsibility already on your shoulders, you cannot just make an irrational move.
Well, I would say you are rational then. You're only making rational moves.
You are making rational,
You're not
but risky.
risking it.
Risky,
Yes,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not risking.
That's the correct word. So making risky moves is really hard when you have this responsibility. Whereas when you are in your studies, you don't really have any kind of responsibilities mostly. Maybe you live in your parents' home, you have a roof over your head, then you don't have excuses to not starting something on your own, you know? And the second point, when I did, for example, internships, one was in a financial company and one was just in a cafe helping a family member. I realized that when you're in the uni, for example, for several hours, it doesn't really drain your energy that much. When I come home, I can still work on myself. But when you're working for somebody, I don't know what that is, but you kind of feel drained of your energy after you come home. So you don't even have the power or the will to do something else. And also you think that you did something productive today because you worked, and then you don't really do anything else. You postpone it all the time to next week. Okay, I'll do it on the weekend, and then something comes up and you never start it, you know. So what is important? It's important that you stay consistent to this thing. So if you start, you just stay consistent and do it every day.
Exactly. Another thing why people hold themselves not going into something new is the fear of failure, right? That's something else. When you become comfortable, and that comfort zone is quite a long period of time, people just fear to get out of it. So the longer you be in the comfort zone, the longer you not challenge yourself to try something and to suck at something actually, because when you are starting something new, you are not good at it, right? While in your comfort zone, you are usually good at the routines that you are doing. And when you are trying to get out of it, you fear what will happen, what other people will think. They will think that I'm not competent, that I'm not able to do something. So there is this fear of failure, but that's because you didn't challenge yourself for a quite long time. While if you keep challenging yourself and pushing that comfort zone to be broader, then that fear is constantly with you. You become used to that fear. And there is no longer that fear that you just prove yourself every time that you are able to learn something, even if you have to suck at something in the beginning. So what the suggestion will be here, actually, that was for me like the case all the time, whether that will be doing the MBA degree, doing the CFA degree, going into the finance, starting that 9 to 5, but then learning technology, learning AI, or trying different things, and challenging yourself all the time to learn something new. Even till this day, after doing so many degrees, after learning so much about all those topics, I still read daily to try to learn something new. I try to expand it and see what are the opportunities, what other areas are there, whether that will be the podcast, will be the gym, will be the social media, posting, how to optimize it, how to become better at it, how to find new strategies doing something new.
But to be honest, I have to say that if you are trying to learn many things and widening your perspective, I think it gets more blurry to choose what you are going to concentrate on.
Without trying, you will not be able to find what is really that one thing that you need to be concentrated by 100%. If you try to focus on one thing and do it for quite a long, you can become above average maybe at that one thing, but that one thing might not be the one thing that you really love doing. And without trying so many things, you will never know what is that one thing actually that you can go 100% and not be above average but be exceptional.
Well, I think you always know what interests you at the moment, right? So, for example, with me, I'm interested in gym. We have already talked about that in the podcast. So I'm thinking, why not start to give some lessons to some friends, for example, or the university students, you know. So just start to kind of earn money with it, because just getting knowledge, that's great, of course, but if you are not putting it into use, it doesn't really get you anywhere. I'm trying to work with the things that I already do and I already love, and then trying to expand it with the go. If we were also with this podcast things which we started, if we just thought about it, let's learn how to do a podcast, let's do this, we would maybe postpone it like a year from
sure.
now, you know, and never do it.
For sure.
But there was just a point where we thought, screw it, we just start it and then we'll learn on the go, you know.
Exactly.
It will work out eventually, and we are going to get better every time. You will see the progress actually again.
And that's the case actually. We tell each other what was the mistakes we made last podcast, and we are trying to adjust it to get better every time. And that's the way it should be. You should never fear failing, doing something wrong. That's the case when you start something new, as we discussed. You have to fail, you have to be wrong, and then you prove yourself every time. Another thing that I think is keeping people back is the distractions. Social media, cheap dopamine are available out there, which is keeping you always stick to your phone, the TV, the computer, and you are not able to turn it off because it's so actually exciting to see what's next, like to scroll it, see what is coming next, that you keep on it for so much time that you forget about more important things, which are what we are discussing, trying something new, exploring, understanding what are your interests, and you're staying still in that comfort zone on your couch, in your bed, scrolling the social media to get more dopamine.
I think that's one of the most dangerous addictions at the moment, actually.
Exactly. And what are we doing for that actually? There is a very nice application which you shared with me, which is blocking your social media, because we are not saying delete the apps. That's crazy in the current world. You should be socially active for sure. That's the case. We are not rejecting that. But what we need to do is to stay focused for extended period of time without interruptions. And to stay focused, there are so many applications that will block your access to the social media platforms for the period of time that you want to stay focused and to do the meaningful job.
We actually do that with 24 hours. So we set the focus time to 24 hours. And I sometimes realize that it's kind of gotten into a habit. When you're on your phone and you don't have anything to do, just open it and click on it. I sometimes even don't think about it that I have blocked this app. I open my phone and I just automatically click on it. And then I see, okay, it's blocked. Oh yeah, sure, I blocked it. And then you just go off your phone and, I don't know, enjoy the nature, you know, stay alone with your mind. There are some ideas that come to your mind, you know. It's a really powerful tool actually.
Yeah.
Just to get that part out of your life, and not out of your life completely. When you're lying in bed, you're just going to sleep or just relaxing for a little bit, you can set like a timer, 5-minute break. You scroll on your social media, you look what your friends are up to and stuff, and then the application blocks the social media automatically and drops you out of this application. And it's a great thing,
Exactly.
I think, because you also get like this feeling, okay, if I go again on this application and take another break right away, I kind of feel weak, you know, you feel like you didn't succeed in anything. And that feeling just gets you off that application.
There is also this gamification of that application where you are keeping the strikes. It asks you, when you're trying to leave or you're trying to take a break, it asks you, are you sure you want to take a break? Like you will lose your streak that you are keeping so long. So you try to keep it actually in your mind and you are not getting that break again. And I think another point is that the reason why you are trying to get the dopamine and you are wasting your time on social media is to not have the proper goals for your life. Like, what are you trying to achieve? We covered that in our first and second episodes, that without goals, without certain direction, where I want to achieve, what I want to achieve, what I want to have, what knowledge do I want to possess, you will just mindlessly drive or like be going with the flow without knowing what exactly you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, of course, if you don't really know what your goal is, your mind will kind of feel lonely, you know, it will start to find distractions. What can I do? Because I don't want to sit around all day and do nothing. So your mind goes to Instagram or TikTok and you start scrolling and distracting yourself.
Yeah. So we covered that in our previous episodes, but what we are suggesting to do is to figure out, spend some time, sit alone, try to discuss with yourself, within you, how and what you want to achieve, and put that, visualize that every day. It helped me so much actually, having that visually in front of you. There is such a good example actually. When you visually want to understand something, like when you check your physique in the mirror, you don't just sit on the couch and think in your mind, oh, my physique, I have so much fat here, so much fat here. You just go and look yourself in the mirror, right? And that's the way you understand whether you are physically fit or not. So why shouldn't you do the same with your goals? Just visually look at that goal every day. And in your subconscious mind, you will always think about that. Whenever you are trying to be distracted, whenever you are trying to scroll the social media, you will think about your goal. And that might help you to get out of that social media and put the work for that day to achieve that goal. Yeah.
True.
And also the environment, right? The environment is so important actually, and I noticed it several times. I proved it myself several times. You need to be in an environment where you are supported, where you have friends, you have family that is pushing you, that is helping you, that's supporting you to grow and to achieve those goals. Because if you stick with friends who are just calling you to go out drinking, smoking, partying, then that's what you are going to do.
If you don't know where to find this kind of friends, for example, let's say that situation is really often nowadays, that you just, for example, have your school friends and they all don't really also have goals in their minds. If you want to find like-minded people, visit places where people are trying to achieve their goals. So, for example, in the gym, go up to people, speak to them, try to find new friends and start to grow with them. Or like in courses where people learn, for example, website creation. And then you will find friends that have the same goals as you have. So try to find these people in places where they are trying to strive and achieve their goals.
And I would add to that it's better to stay alone than to be with the friends who are pushing you down.
Yeah, that's true.
If you are in a city, in a town where you have no chance of finding ambitious people, then it's better to stay alone with yourself, with your mind, and having that one-man army like mindset rather than sticking with friends and people who are just dragging you down.
But still, it's much harder to achieve something on your own than
For
with
sure.
friends.
And we discussed that during our first episode, how much we are pushing each other in the gym, actually in any areas of our lives, to be better every day. So it's important to find it, but if you don't success with finding one, then it's better to stay alone than to take the negative path, which is staying with losers, right?
Also, maybe to touch on our topic today, generally the average life. Also, when we are talking about you have a 9 to 5 and you have also a wife, maybe kids, and your wife isn't supportive, we have to say that is also a really big point. Because your wife is like your best friend in life, you could put it in that way. So if that person isn't supportive in what you do, whatever you do, then you have a big problem. So make sure that you find somebody for your life who is really supportive, where you have the feeling that she's rooting for you and she's your biggest motivator. That's a really important thing of getting out of the average life. Because if your wife doesn't have the mindset, that's also a really big
not
problem.
only wife, the girlfriend, right? And that's the period also, you understand whether that's a wifey material or not. Mm-hmm. That's during that period she's supporting you, she's pushing you, she's trying to bring you to the right path when she sees that you are just diverging, you're going to the wrong direction. That's the kind of people you need to be surrounded, and of course the first thing is your family, but if you are unfortunate to not have supportive family, which can be the case, luckily we had that valuable family who puts the values right and disciplines us to make sure that we are going into the right direction, which we will cover in other episodes. We will maybe bring our family members to discuss as well. But you need to have those friends and wife and girlfriend and other people surrounding you who are pushing you, who are putting you onto the right path or direction.
Yeah, and even if you don't have the friends or the family members that have the same goals as you Your girlfriend most probably does, or your wife most probably does. So if you find it hard going to the gym alone, take your wife or your girlfriend with you. Or same thing with starting some kind of side hustle, bring her into the thing if she's interested in it. And this also makes a team. This is also a great team, you know. You spend most of the time with her anyways, so just make it more productive.
And I noticed that during my university period, actually, when I was studying here in Poland, I was doing at the same time the CFA, actually, and I was quite good in finance and accounting topics, and probably I was one of the best in my classes, not to exaggerate. But that also puts you in the comfort zone when you see that you are surrounded with people who don't know it as much as you, or who are not that competent as you are. Then you start thinking, okay, maybe I know enough. Maybe I don't need to push myself anymore. Maybe I don't need to put that additional effort to become better because I'm already one of the best. Why should I do that? When I moved to another country actually to continue my studies there, I came across with people who were not only studying, they were already working in their careers, and they were challenging the professors. They knew so much and they had so much practical knowledge actually. You feel that, oh man, I'm not the best one here. These people are challenging the professors. So maybe they know more, so I need to put more effort. What I'm trying to say is that you have that competitive mindset, especially, which is a very good trait, I would say. It is important to be in a place or in the room where you are not the best person. And we were discussing this regarding the MMA as well, right? And I think we can share that. We were speaking and discussing what is better if you're starting a new martial arts. Is it better to go a place like in the beginner class where you will be one of the best? Or is it better to go upper class where you will be maybe not the best, maybe you will be the average? But in my opinion, being the average in the room and having that competitive mindset will push yourself to the limits to become the best of that room. So I would prefer to be in a room where I'm not the best rather than in the room that I'm the best.
Controversially, I have the other opinion that if you're the best in the room and you can use that to your advantage to control the others and to let them do whatever you want or whatever supports your goals, is easier than if you put yourself in a hard situation where you have to climb up the ladder still. And I have the feeling it doesn't really matter in what vicinity in the world.
So as we discussed how to escape those average traps actually, so you need to have the goals first of all. You need to be surrounded with people that are supportive, that are pushing you to become better, and you need to challenge yourself always to get out of that comfort zone. Never stay in the comfort zone. That's the worst place that you can ever be. And I think to do that and to track ourselves, to check on ourselves, what we are using is the tool called Notion, actually, which helps us a lot, I would say. That is giving you this habit tracker that we track ourselves, we put our habits, the daily routines that we want to perform, and we are checking the boxes every day actually to make sure that we are staying consistent on trying every day, becoming 1% better at whatever we are trying to do and whatever we are trying to achieve. Because you cannot achieve big goals at once. You just need to be 1% better every day. And that's our mindset. That's what we are trying to do. And that's what we would suggest you to do as well.
And I have noticed that it's actually easier to make it kind of a game in anything that you want to do. For example, if you want to drink more water during the day, there are apps for that. And doing that is like your mind wants to check that box. So you just want to achieve that during the day. And the same is with like nutrition. The same is with like the habit tracker. And there are millions of other templates like out there. So just look for these applications, whatever your goal is, and actually use them. They're pretty helpful.
And if you are watching this and still feeling stuck, guys, we are here to help. Make sure to reach out to us on comments on our social media platforms and let's discuss. We can even have one-to-ones calls and we can support you and we can help you to try to organize yourself and try to set your goals and try to do everything to achieve those.
We want to make this into a community, guys. So you're not just our viewers, we see you as a community and we want to also help you on your journey to achieving your goals.
And guys, if you have other options to stay disciplined, consistent and to get out of that average lifestyle, make sure to comment in the comment sections. We will be happy to see that. We will be happy to discuss those points as well in our next episodes. And as usual, follow us on YouTube, on other platforms, the social media. You will find those in our description. And stay consistent, guys.
Exactly.
Peace.
Peace.